What's up? It's me, Don Tolliver. If I could describe the open earbud, I would describe it as very seamless. It's like you clip it onto your ear, and then sometimes you can forget it's there, but it's not going anywhere because it's like clipped. It's kind of crazy. If I could bring my music with me wherever I go, it just make life easier and seamless without interruption. To be able to have the music on hand like that without any interruptions would be great. Check out Bose.com for more.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. Attention fashion lovers. The Walmart Style Tour is traveling across America with a mobile pop-up showcasing the latest women's fashion trends to discover, try, and love this fall. Meet one-on-one with professional stylists for personalized tips and get a personal color analysis. Plus, enjoy free giveaways like engraved lipstick and denim totes while supplies last. Visit WalmartStyleTour.com to find a tour stop near you and find all the things you love today.
Week 9 or 10, you've been playing football for 12, 13, 14 weeks there, depending on your summer and camps and stuff like that. And if we don't know how to block and hit and do full contact by then, we probably don't deserve to be in the playoffs. So,
this episode of the season is presented by our partner Signature Championship Rings. Head coach of Colorado 4A 2023 state champion Erie High School, Jeff Geiger, shares his approach to balancing physical conditioning with mental readiness through 3 season phases: pre-conference, league games, and playoffs. As a lot of us are getting ready to head into the playoffs, we discuss the strategic tapering of practices, the popular No Sweat Wednesdays, and the role of tailored film breakdowns for opponent preparation. Be sure to support our partner Signature Championship Rings. Signature Championship Rings is the leading designer and supplier of championship rings, serving over 10,000 teams and organizations. With a focus on quality, craftsmanship, easy team ordering processes, and affordability, visit www.signaturechampions.com/podcast to learn more.
There are toys, and then there are freak-out-worthy toys. Toys that get big reactions like,
OMG, no way!
Or,
best present ever!
Or,
it's what I've always wanted.
For those toys, you need Walmart. They've got exclusives from major brands like Disney, Barbie, and Adventure Force that you can't find anywhere else. Toys that make kids jump for joy.
Thank you!
And make you a hero for giving them. Shop hundreds of exclusive toys.
Yes!
Welcome to your Walmart.
On this week's in-season series of Champions, we're talking about putting the focus on the mental side of things and tapering a little bit on the physical things as we get into the late season here and we prepare for things like a championship type of game, playoffs, etc. And joining me to discuss that is the 2023 state champion from Colorado, Erie High School, head coach Jeff Geiger. Coach, great to have you here.
hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you.
So, Coach, this whole idea of the late season, we always think about it maybe as not necessarily a novel idea. A lot of coaches look to, okay, how can we cut back? But for you, it doesn't necessarily mean cut back. It's just a refocus on where things go. So for you guys, it's more on the mental side and a tapering on the physical. Would love to hear your philosophy on that for your program.
Yeah, I feel like we really kind of split the season up into 3 parts, I guess, if you will. All your pre-conference games, or however everybody phrases them, for us, the league games are the ones that matter really the most to get to the playoffs. All of them matter for seeding in the playoffs. But for us, those non-league games, we want to make sure that we are getting everything set to be right when we get into league games. And I think what tends to happen there the most is guys, we start with a group of guys there week 1. By week 5, there's different guys in there starting because guys play themselves out or in or however that works. So we want to use that beginning part to get to league, and practices usually are 2.5 hours through that. And then when you get into league, then that focus, then we want to change that focus a little bit. We want to cut back that practice a little bit. We're going to not go pads as much, but still a little bit in pads. And now, I guess for lack of a better term, now these games count. You win your league, you're in the playoffs. You know that. And that's always been a big focus of ours is you get in the playoffs. Once you get in the playoffs, eating and all that stuff doesn't really matter. It's just being in the playoffs, because then we know we can make a run. So then as the league is tapering down, now it's going to depend a little bit on who we're playing. Like if our league championship is week 10 and that's a tough contest, and that changes a little bit of our focus. But for the most part, once we start getting into the last couple weeks of the season, especially going into the playoffs, we very seldom are in full pads throughout the week. We might go one day to get a little bit of the inside stuff. But even then, I kind of feel like by the time we get to week 9 or 10, you've been playing football for 12, 13, 14 weeks there, depending on your summer and camps and stuff like that. And if we don't know how to block and hit and do full contact by then, we probably don't deserve to be in the playoffs. So we just don't do much of the full contact, and we try to taper practice back to hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. We do it a little Monday and Tuesday are our heavy days, so that's when we'll try to be about an hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes. And then Wednesday we just call it no sweat Wednesday, so we're only out there for about an hour anyway, so we'll cut that back to about 45 minutes. And then Thursday, Friday, depending on when we're playing, whether it's Friday or Saturday, pregame, obviously we already have those scaled back too. So the main focus, like I said, is to really cut back on the contact. Most of the guys are beat up by then, and it kind of sounds bad, but I don't want to lose a kid during the week. If we're going to have a kid get injured, I'd rather that be when they're playing a game. So we try to keep them out of those situations. And then a lot more heavy focus on installs or unique situations for that opponent. We spend more time in combo team settings to walk through those things and really have a grasp of what we expect from the team. And I think that's all established throughout the year. You know, you spend a year, you give the game plans, you've watched, you scouted them and everything, but you probably aren't quite as detailed. And I believe we want to try to do that somewhat purposefully. So the kids have to react and respond to what's going on and not have necessarily an exact knowledge. So we can build to the point where we're in the playoffs. Now we're going to give them a little more of the exact knowledge, but they already have that ability to react and respond to what they're seeing. And I think that combined helps us play faster in the playoffs because they have more of the details mentally about what an opponent likes to do. And I think they can attack with a little more speed and get after it. I think that answer most of that.
Yeah, it does. I want to explore a couple things within there. First of all, you talked about cutting back on the padded practices. So in terms of the dress of the day and what these guys are putting on for practice over the course of the week, and I know you say you had sweat Wednesday, and I mean, at the college level, they call it Fast Friday, whatever you call it at the high school level. So we'd just love to hear what that looks like in terms of how these guys are dressing out for practice.
Yeah. So on Monday and Tuesday, up until probably at least week 7-ish, we would be Monday and Tuesday would be full pads. We might start getting into shells on those days, kind of week 6, week 7, but then kind of by the time we were at the end of the season into the playoffs, most of the time that might be full pads one of those days, and the other day would be helmets. Wednesday's just helmets. Thursday, we always go full pads. Well, pre-game. So once again, if we play Saturday and Friday, we would always be full pads pre-game. That way, when we're going through all situation scenarios and everything, they're doing that in pads, doing it as close to game-like kind of scenarios as possible. But everything is very quick, so I can't even call it thud. I mean, we're not going to have much contact, but we're going to be in full pads the day before the game. So I guess hopefully that kind of answers the question. So full pads maybe one day out of Monday, Tuesday as we get to the end, maybe. Helmets a lot, full pads day before the game.
Yeah, so I think looking at the no sweat Wednesdays, we've talked about that on the podcast several times here with coaches. We'd love to hear the format of those 2 days. So the no sweat Wednesdays, you guys have helmets. Thursdays, as you said, we're the day before the game, depending on when the game is, for you. You're putting on full pads, again, just probably more for safety purposes. But as far as what do the segments look like on those days, and how long are you going through certain parts of OD special team?
Yes, I guess to kind of help out, by the time we get, especially once we get in the playoffs, usually we're playing on Saturday. So that Monday practice is going to be helmets for sure, a lot of insertion, walk-through stuff. Tuesday, Wednesday, one of those days, possibly full pads, but possibly both of them helmets. And then, so we want that no sweat. We want that on Wednesday or Thursday. So that 2 days before the game is when we want that no sweat. Then the day before the game, full pads, and then the game. So for the no sweat or our quick day there, we kind of change that around. What we do, we look a lot at, we teach that or break that down into more scenarios, and specifically scenarios that are going to be important that week or scenarios that maybe we've been struggling with. For instance, we might have a third medium, 2 to 3 periods of a third medium, and move from hash, middle hash, really focusing on that aspect of the game. We faced a team that was a tough team, kind of single wing principles. So we had, if I remember correctly, we had 2 to 3 periods where we just went through our even looks defensively, our even looks to their offense, and then 2 to 3 periods with our odd looks and our handful of things that we thought were really good to what they did. And then a couple periods that we looked at some of their unique things, their kind of running back, throwback stuff they do, a couple of things that are just unique to their offense. So every no sweat day can be different and usually is different. It's going to depend on the opponent or where we're at. By the time we get in the playoffs, usually that's an opponent thing and unique things to them. The other thing for us too that I probably should have mentioned is we still practice as with the idea that we have players playing both sides of the ball, even though by the time we're to the end of the year, that's probably maybe 10 to 12 guys. We pretty much run our practice the same no matter what. Our varsities with the offensive group for about an hour, JVs with the defensive group for about an hour, and then they rotate. So then on those no sweat days, that's about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how long we're going. The defense and offense will have the varsity group. So we go 4-minute periods. So that's about 7 periods that they'll have to work with. And then, like I said, those periods are broke up based on what we need to focus on for that opponent.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. Attention fashion lovers. The Walmart Style Tour is traveling across America with a mobile pop-up showcasing the latest women's fashion trends to discover, try, and love this fall. Meet one-on-one with professional stylists for personalized tips and get a personal color analysis. Plus, enjoy free giveaways like engraved lipstick and denim totes while supplies last. Visit WalmartStyleTour.com to find a tour stop near you and find all the things you love today.
In the time it takes us to say we're making a damn delicious caramel-iced coffee with Folgers Instant Coffee, you know we're all about that drizzle. You could be savoring every sip. Damn right. It's Folgers Instant.
And then on your fast day, so day before the game, playoffs, if you're playing Saturday, it's a fast Friday. But the format of that practice is still going to be short and crisp, but now you guys are making sure that it's not full contact, but you're running around full speed.
Yeah. That's always been the same for quite a while. We usually will go about a 2 to 3 period of an endo, offensive and defensively. And then that day's the only day that everybody's going to be on the sideline and we're going to be rotating stuff through. Don't like people standing around, but on that day you're going to have it. And then probably like everybody else, we're going to line up, we're going to kick the ball, and then we'll have defense out there for a 4-minute period of third and medium, let's say, and the scout's going to run 3 or 4 plays against them, and we're going to come off, and then we'll do like kickoff return, and then the offense is going to be out there with a third medium section for a period or 2. We're going through all of our special teams, then we'll be like our shield punt, and then defense will be out there on a third and long situation for 4 minutes. Punt return, offense will be out there in the third and long situation. So we keep going through the special teams and then into an offense or defensive situational period where they'll have 3 or 4 plays of specific situations. Usually those are pretty set. Once again, an opponent can change that. Team I talked about, we did a little more third and short, fourth and short type stuff because they went for it so much on fourth down. So we had more of a short yardage situations when we were on defense, but it was always special teams followed by an offense defense period with a special focus to a situation.
So we mentioned putting the focus on the mental side more, and a lot of that for you guys is film prep. So both from the coach's standpoint and then what the players work with and presentation to them, what does it start to look like here now as you're getting into the later season, looking at winning those last few games to secure a conference championship in a playoff spot, and then same thing heading into the playoffs. So the mental side being ratcheted up, what does that look like for you?
So on weekend for us as coaches, once we get into playoffs, during the regular season, a lot of times everybody has assignments, and after JV, we play JV freshman games on Saturday mornings here. So all the assistant coaches are all at freshman JV games on Saturday morning, and then me and the coordinators will be in breaking down Friday night film on Saturday morning. And then everybody has assignments, and the job is to have that done. And then we get back up there Sunday night and get everybody together and make sure everybody's on the same page. Once we get into the playoffs, though, then we kind of, that all gets ratcheted up because we're not going to have freshman JV games. So we'll usually spend Saturday breaking down a lot of the film and getting it all ready. And then we all go up on Sunday morning and we do everything together during the playoffs. So we'll spend all day on Sunday during the playoffs. Everybody has certain things, getting everything broke down for the coaches. Now, once we get that accomplished, we want to have cut up to the players by Monday night. During the regular season, those cut-ups are very minimal. Kind of found over time, you can send the kids a lot of things. They're going to look at a few or look at what they think they want to see. So during the season, we're going to send them cut-ups of 3 to 4 plays of their top 3 runs and their top 3 pass plays, and that's about it. Once we get into the playoffs, we will add a few more to that, and then a lot more detailed, especially on special teams and then on personnel. The coordinators kind of put those together, so they'll get PowerPoints with all the main emphasis for the week and then also the cut-ups of what we want them to pay attention to. Probably like everybody else, we always have a handful of kids that can absorb a game film, and those kids, usually by the time they're juniors, you kind of know who they are, and I'll share the full game with those handful that can handle that or like that. Usually our quarterbacks will get that, but everybody else, it's very specific and detailed to knowing we need to stop. And then also a handful of cut-ups of special plays that they've ran, half-back passes, reverses, anything like that, 2-point plays. We'll get those to them. With the emphasis being throughout the week, they're seeing those so much at practice because we're not necessarily spending as much time hitting each other. We're spending a lot more time walking through them, running through them. So by the time they get to Saturday, they know what is coming, and then it's whether or not we're good enough to stop it.
Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to share some of your thoughts on the approach to practice and mental preparation for the late season games, and just want to wish you and the Tigers best of luck here the rest of the way.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, and good luck to everybody listening. Hope everybody goes on and does great things this year.
Here's our winningest takeaway for this episode with Coach Jeff Geiger. We've talked a few times now here in the middle to late season about the no sweat Wednesdays at the high school level. And I really think as you get towards the playoffs and the focus becomes more mental than physical, right? Preserving their legs, making sure they're not taking too many hits during the week. I think no sweat Wednesdays and fast Thursdays, or sprint through Thursdays, some like to call it, are a great format. Again, we'll put a link to an article that we have in the show notes, as well as to other podcasts that we've shared these ideas. Be sure to check out our partners, Vertical Raise, for your fundraising needs, modern football technology for analytics and in-game decision-making, and signature championship rings when you win the championship this year. Links and information to all of our partners can be found in the description. and on coachandcoordinator.com in our 10% toolkit. Follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.